please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Day 2 of the 43rd Annual General Meeting of the US-India Business Council saw more intricate conversations on the 2+2 dialogue between India and United States. Data localization being a key issue for many countries, including the US. What lies ahead in terms of defense partnership? What are the issues and hurdles being faced? What really are the investment opportunities? What's the outlook on oil and rupee? And a lot more.
As far as the economic role in dialogue with the US goes, I can't think of any other country in the world where economics, markets, commerce is more central to a country and to its perception of itself than the US. So I do not believe you can have a strategic relationship with the US unless commerce and economics is center stage. You can put defense ahead of it, you can say we have strategic interest, you have values, but unless economics and business is center stage, and admittedly so, you're never going to make headway with the US, in my opinion. And so it is, to me, a cause of some chagrin that it's not in the dialogue, as you said, commerce. We believe things are going well, but my discomfort is that even when things will look as if they're going well, either with the State Department or the Defense Department, if there are thorny commerce issues, business issues, this relationship is going to go nowhere. So there has to be a step up, I think, in interest and a focus on this from the Indian side, frankly. And this is not just, as I said, because the current president is a businessman. This idea of business being central to America is as old as America goes. Now, I think a couple of the problems that I've heard American counterparts say is that they want a level playing field in India. That's one of their biggest concerns. And look, you can come into our markets, you can do whatever you like, you can invest, it's very easy, and they cite my own experience in setting up factories there, getting permissions to operate, and that's true. And they say, look, it's not the same out here. You have many, many problems. That problem, I think, is easier to solve because I've told them, look, I've been working since 1980. I'm telling you things are much, much better than they ever were. And this is not a problem that America faces. It's Indian businessmen face this. The good news is that the Prime Minister of this country is focused on ease of doing business. He has a metric he wants to achieve to get into the top 50. So I said, look, why don't you just talk that language rather than say American companies don't have a level playing field? Say, can we help you about the ease of doing business? That'll help you and it'll help us. That problem is less thorny. But I think there are going to be some new problems that come up. The one that I hear most recently, Penny, is about the whole issue of data. And as you know, the RBI issued a circular recently talking about payments companies needing to store data in India. I foresee that becoming a very thorny issue because some of the largest US companies are going to have problems with that. The noise level is already rising. To some extent, this is a global problem. It's a problem about these large tech companies, if you don't call them payment companies, just tech companies and the control of data. What is privacy? What is security? Where should it be located? I think these issues are going to be problems with the US and every other country. But I think there are going to be problems for us. And I think in India, we have to be very careful about how we negotiate this landscape because, frankly, as one of the largest outsourcing company, IT company sources in the world, we have a lot to lose if this debate gets too animated and hot about where data should be stored. So these are some of the problems I see, Penny, and so I think we need to focus on them.
Yeah, let me just comment on the data. I think that we tried during the Obama administration unsuccessfully to get legislation passed around privacy. The thesis being it was really more of a code of conduct than a set of really thick regulations. It was kind of a Bill of Rights, if you will. And nothing happened. Congress was not interested. And now we're going to deal with this rather than a clear day. We're dealing with these issues at a time of crisis, right? data is becoming just a more and more thorny issue. And I think as business leaders, we're doing ourselves no good by saying we don't want any rules of the road. I think that we need to establish norms. I think the biggest challenge, and you alluded to this, is you could end up with the norms in India being different than the norms in Europe, being different than the norms in the United States, being different than, and then we'll end up with this very fragmented set of rules, which is very much the antithesis of the benefit of the internet. So I think that it would behoove all of us in the private sector who deal with data, which is basically every company now, to, in essence, come up with it, whether it's a Geneva Convention of data rules. Well, there's a push that should be kind of, here's the standard or safe harbor within which one should behave. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the GDPR in Europe. You're going to end up with the California rules basically in the United States. You're going to end up with whatever India chooses to do. And for companies, it will become very unwieldy to be a global provider. And that doesn't fit with our customers if you're in the data business, because your customers want their data flowing everywhere. So we have to take this issue very seriously.
We also spoke to several corporates on the sidelines of the summit. Take a look.
Since you spoke about synergies, Mr. Iyer, two important areas, sourcing and warehouse rationalization. Is that on the agenda? What kind of synergies can we see in these two areas?
Synergies are of many kinds. We have not currently gotten into specifics and details.
Sure.
It's most important synergy, according to my mind, is just the sharing of best practices. When we start sharing best practices and strategy of each other, that's when a good discussion on various synergies can evolve. And synergies are also about focus and prioritization.
Absolutely.
So that's something we'll get into.
Very quick question as far as the issue with Kate is concerned. They have challenged the deal. They have moved the NCLAT for that. Is that an issue? Is that something that bothers you in terms of going to the next step?
I would put it this way, that I think the investment by Walmart and greater commitment by Walmart in the country is generally very good news for all the stakeholders. We work on several fronts in terms of creation of shared value. Our core business model of cash and carry, where we sell to small kirana stores, and our mission of helping them prosper because we sell them at the lowest prices. That's the number one mission which we have. Simultaneously, in the process, of course, sourcing from small and medium enterprises, our direct farm program, sourcing directly from small and marginal farmers, our program relating to responsible sourcing, helping these small and medium enterprises to conduct their business in a manner which is compliant with all the regulatory requirements. Our women's economic empowerment program, women entrepreneurship development program, women in factories program. I can list out a number of them on the creation of shared value.
We would love to see at the 2+2 or maybe at some other forum, strengthening of, let's take a bilateral agreement or any other trade agreement, which can enable us to play more in the international supply chain. And by that I mean co-production. So if you can have a trade agreement which takes care, either eliminates fully or reduces a lot in terms of the import duties or the tariffs on ingredients which go in for manufacturing, then that can certainly help a lot in us playing more into the global supply chains.
Sensitive country-specific data should stay in the country. I do see the logic of it. However, in practicality, that needs to be a very, very fine segment that you try to localize. The majority of the data should be flowing openly where it needs to. That's the only way we unleash the value of the data. So this has to be done for the long term in a very clinical, very specific, scalpel-like precision to decide what data may have to be localized and what is not.